It was like a normal day in Starlight's old village. Double Diamond was in the mountain to do his regular skiing. He just went to there with the first was planning to go there with his friend, Party Favor. But unfortunately, Party Favor couldn't go because he had his work to take care of. So Double Diamond went by himself, which he usually do. But to this day, Double Diamond were more quietly. Normally, he used to be more outspoken, talk to many other opponents in the village, but lately he has been without Ron by himself. Many of his friends had asked if something was wrong with him, but he said, "Nothing is wrong, I'm just busy, or I prefer to be alone today." So when he had asked Party Favor if he wanted to go skiing with him, which this surprised him. For the past few days, he has been really much just being by himself, either being skiing by himself or just being at his home. Even some of his other friends, Night Glider, had often go over to see him, but he claims that he was busy or didn't feel to have any company over. So most of his friends were getting worried about his friend. So after a while, Night Glider had wrote a letter to Starlight if she could maybe come over to talk to Double Diamond. But she wrote back that she couldn't because since she is the new head mayor of the school in Ponyville, so that would not be much of a problem, much as is, and it wouldn't be much as a good idea for her. But Night Glider wrote back and asked if Double Diamond could visit her in Ponyville, which which Starlight wrote back and replied that she said that he could do. So Party Favor, Night Glider, and many other friends had asked him if he wanted to see Starlight, since he haven't seen her in a while. So he said yes. But then they said that he had to go to Poland to be able to see her, which he didn't mind, so he booked a ticket on a train and left the village the next day. Around the same time, in Camelot, Hoity Toity were very busy at his small workplace about to be as a fashion designers. But lately, he had lack of inspiration. Most of his friends within the fashion world had been asked him when is this going to be his next great fashion designs of the next of the year. But he said that he hasn't been done any fashion designs lately. Because most of the first of all, has been sick. For the past week he had the flu. So he had not been able to do any particular work. But since his small company were producing these designs they had made before, but some of his clients or customers were asking for if he will be do some new designs. So, and after being working for nearly almost 2 months after he had got back to health from his by the time he was sick by the flu, it didn't go as well as planned for. He was sick for about a week, but after he got back to work, at first nothing was a problem, but that all changed. After being working for nearly 2 months, and almost sometimes most of the time he worked 24/7 for nearly a week. And some of his clients and some of his friends and coworkers had noticed that he had been working so hard lately and that he get barely any sleep. They tried to make him to leave his office and his company just for for maybe a day or two, just to relax, maybe just get some rest. But he refused. He said that he had a deadline on the next design to be out, and it was going to be finished soon, and he had to make it perfect. Otherwise, he'd probably lose a lot of clients, which he and his company couldn't afford to. And after nearly 2 months of being working, all his coworkers had noticed he had been burned out. He had been working so hard, and he has been getting much sleep. All his coworkers had tried to make him to try to get some vacation, or at least some time off from his work. And then he said, "No, I can't. I have too much work. I have so much work to do." But his coworkers had told him that they had already been asked to take care of that, and they were sending him somewhere where he would not be able to do any of his work. And they sent him, in fact, to Ponyville, of all places. At first, he even wondered, why Ponyville? Why not maybe Maidhan or Crystal Empire? But they thought maybe more a countryside small town could be more the trick. And they had asked Twilight maybe if he could stay at her castle. And since Hoity Toity were a good friend to Twilight and Rarity, so he agreed, but only for about a week so he can get some rest. But they knew that he might help Rarity at her boutique. So they had already informed Twilight and Rarity about this and tried to make sure he doesn't do any particular work on his vacation. At around the same time, when Double Diamond arrived to Ponyville, he saw this stallion at the station, looking around. Maybe what it looked like he was waiting for some pony. So Double Diamond walked up to him, just as if he was waiting for some pony, and he informed him that he was waiting for Twilight. And Double Diamond asked if he was going to stay at Twilight's castle, which Hoity Toity Maid said, "Yes, that's correct. How do you know that?" "Because I am staying there too," said Double Diamond. And Double Diamond had explained that he was visiting a friend of him who lives in Poland. So both of them went to the castle, and unlikely that most of the time, Twilight and Starlight wasn't even there. But Spike had been asked by Twilight to receive them if they got to the castle first. And Spike showed them to their bedrooms, and after that, Double Diamond just left the castle to was walking around in town to get some fresh air and maybe get something to eat. But Hoity Toity, by the way, he didn't leave the castle. In fact, he just went to his room and lay down and just to relax. Only about a few hours later, Double Diamond went back with Starlight and Twilight. At first, they used small talk in the library, and Spike had asked where is if he was going to go get Hoity Toity, but Twilight said it's best to let him to get some rest. After all, he has been working so hard back in Cantlot lately. So Spike let him to rest. But he went to get him for dinner. So for the next couple of days, Hoity Toity had been mostly either in his room or spent some time with Rarity at her boutique, but not for work or something. Just small talk about some fashions. He commented about her new designs and asked what she if what kind of fabrics we use and sort of things. That just talked for most of the time. And around the same time, Double Diamond has spent some time with the Starlight. And even Starlight had noticed something was much wrong with him. She asked him if something was a much serious problem. Like if someone at some point has been harming him or bullying him at some point. But Double Diamond explained that no one has No pony has even harmed or even bullied him. He just felt lonely. He didn't know why. Ever since he moved to the village, he had felt happy for the first time. But lately, it has been like if something was missing in his life. Installer then asked if there could be maybe that didn't have his special sound pony. And that could have been the right thing, Double Diamond said. And he then asked what he could do about it. He knew that Starlight Bird together with Sunburst. So Double Diamond was told maybe they tried speed dating in town as tonight. So he went there just to see what kind of things there has been. He saw there were a few stallions and a couple of mares, but that was something else that caught his eye. Hoity Toity was there. He wonders why would one of those famous fashion designers be there? He thought maybe he'd already had some special sun pony back in short Cantonot. But when he asked him before this the speed dating first started, it turns out that even Rarity had asked him maybe try speed dating because he hasn't been seeing any particular mare for a couple of years, and he has been feeling lonely lately. So after a while, they just start talking to mares around the time, but almost at the end, both of them end up at the same table for some random accident. At first, they use small talk about the things, and they even seem to be having much in common things, like favorite music, favorite new food, and sort of things. And even then, when Double Diamond just pulled a joke, hoity toity, he couldn't refuse and resist to laugh at the joke. And he felt so relaxed. And after speed dating was over, both of them left together. Just talked about the speed dating, and they asked each other if they thought maybe some mare could have been interested in them. But it didn't even ask if either of them had found any particular mare attractive or any particular interest. But Double Diamond said, "No, none of those mares are not my types." Hoity Toity explained the same thing. But then Double Diamond just random asked if you wouldn't find a mare to date. Would you date, I don't know, a stallion? Hoity Toity didn't expect that kind of question, but he then said, "Absolutely, I would date that. I absolutely would date a mare, a stallion." That shocked Double Diamond a bit, but he said, "Well, same here. I mean, at least maybe one day to see how they would work out." And then Hoity Toity said, "Well, how about we go out tomorrow on the date?" That surprised Double Diamond even more. "Well, what did you have in mind?" Hoity Toity thought for a moment and said, "How about a movie? I mean, there are some comedy movies that are here in town lately, so maybe you can go see one." And the Double Diamond thought maybe, and he said, "Yes, why not? I mean, if it's a comedy movie, both candidates can get some laugh." So they decided to go to this movie about 5 p.m. the next day. Around the next day, during the day itself, both they were to spend some time just in the castle, small talk, then play some cards. But around 5 p.m., they went to this movies, and at first they didn't expect much was going to happen. But after the movie was over, Double Diamond, he admits that he had a good time with him, that he felt maybe this could have been worth a try, to be dating. But though there was just one question he had to be asked. How would they work it out? Because he lived so far from Camelot. wouldn't be able to see each other so often. Hoity Toity said that he could make it work if he was willing to, which he did. So Hoity Toity and Double Diamond announced to their friends that they have been dating, and Starlight and Twilight were not so surprised. I mean, they knew that both Double Diamond and Hoity Toity had some things in common, and they really hit it off quite well as friends at the beginning. So they didn't mean that. So they didn't mind that happened. But sometimes after that Double Diamond went home, he and Hoity Toity remained in contact by letters. But even though Hoity Toity had promised he would go see him. But then, but only a month later, Double Diamond decided to do some surprise visit in Canada to see Hoity Toity. When he got there, he was greeted by one of the most legendary ponies in history, Flash Magnus. Flash Magnus was one of Double Diamond's favorite heroes when he's growing up, and seeing his favorite hero was the most amazing time he could ever do. They talked about most of Flash Magnus' old adventures and sort of things. And Hoity Toity, he saw that Double Diamond was talking to Flash Magnus, but he didn't expect any much as anything wrong in that because they were just laughing, talking, and he could actually hear what they talked about, mostly about Flash's old adventures. So he didn't think nothing was going wrong there. So when Double, but even Hoity Toity, he was really surprised to see Double Diamond in Catland, and even when he was talking to Flash Magnus, but he was just happy to see him. Over time, both Double Diamond and Hoity Toity felt they were happy together. Even though that most of the time they didn't see each other because of most of the distance, but also due to the fact that Hoity Toity were a fashion designer, which were a bit sometimes time consuming work. But Double Diamond, he didn't care if he were not unable to see Hoity Toity for so often. As long as they could see each other as many times they could, or just writing letters back and forward, that was enough. But one day, when Double Diamond went back to Cantlot to surprise Hoity Toity, we saw him spending talking with this stallion at the cafe, and he didn't know who this particular stallion were. But he later found out that it was actually a friend of him, Fancy Pants. Fancy Pants and Hoity Toity had been friends for several years, and they were not competing against each other as in fashion. In fact, they even helped each other during the times when they need some inspiration. Even most of the time when Hoity Toity were and working on the fashion designs. But one day, Fancy Pants told Hoity Toity that they were needed to be helping each other for the big upcoming fashion design show in Manhattan. And this time that Hoity Toity was supposed to be meeting Double Diamond. So Double Diamond was getting a letter saying that he couldn't see her because of up, this fashion show. Even though Double Diamond has been looking forward to this meeting, he felt hard. He felt heartbroken, but he came over it quickly. He realized being a fashion designer is very hard, time-consuming work, and he promised to make up to him. So about a week after the fashion show was over, Hoity Toity had actually brought with Double Diamond on a cruise. And they had this amazing time, having romantic dinners or just went out and dancing, or just enjoying this view from the deck on the ship. But something did else happen on the cruise. In fact, Hoity Toity had in fact been planning something much in secret. This was actually their first year anniversary together, and Hoity Toity had for the past few weeks been feeling really connected to Double Diamond. And he then, the same evening, just the day before the ship returned back to Manhattan, he proposed to Double Diamond, who said yes immediately. When they came back, all their friends and family could not have been more happy for both of them. But they had no idea when or where they wanted this wedding to be held. Both of them maybe could have thought maybe, what about Ponyville? Since most of their friends lived there. And it would be easier for even Rarity could help them to make this suits, and maybe some of their friends could maybe provide some music and food, and even Twilight could have been performing the ceremony, which Twilight didn't mind. So Double Diamond had asked Party Favor to be his best man, and even Hoity Toity had asked Fancy Pants to be his best man. And they had even asked somehow Spike to be the Rain Bear. It turns out Spike was a good friend of both of them. Well, at least the Double Diamond. So even after the party where Pinky and Discord, for some unusual way, had organized an entire party for them, it was just a great time to see both Double Diamond and Hoity Toity so being much in love with each other. But only that. After the party was over, it was time for them both to go there on their honeymoon. And they went actually to Crystal Empire for about a week. And they had the most amazing and even the relaxing time. But then the comic question where to live. Double Diamond actually moved away from the village, and he actually moved to Ponyville. And Hoity Toity thought maybe why not moving to Ponyville as well, but continue his business in Canterlot. So even then, it worked. But after nearly 3 years of being married, both of them have thought, how about maybe they could start having a family? So they didn't know if they could adopt a family of their own, or maybe have something else. But Double Diamond thought maybe how about having a mare acting as a surrogate mother for them. And Hoity Toity thought maybe that could actually work because there are a few mares has been done that in the past. So they actually asked Twilight for some reason to be the surrogate mother, which she applied to do. So within a few months, they found out that not only they weren't to be parents, but also to be having twins. Both of them were really surprised, but most of all, shocked, hearing twin boys. And then the day came when the twins were born. The first twin was named Razzle. Razzle was really quiet when he was growing up. Even he was really much no problem to spend time with his friends, playing around with games, or even spend time with parents. But he was, but most of the time quiet until he was about 10, when he was more. Something actually changed. He was more outspoken. He loved to be playing with his friends, and for some reason then, he had actually had fallen in passion for fashion, like his father did. So he did studies on fashion with his father when he was growing up, even helped him sometimes back in the company. And Hoity Toity had even mentioned that one day Razzle will be inherit the company from him when he retired, which Razzle could not wait. And for some point in his life, he actually became a fashion designer and even had fallen in love with his own assistant. And they actually got married after being dating for about 5 years, and they even had two sons and one daughter of their own. And even for most of the time, Ransel could not have been happier to be married and one day later be take over the company from his father and also just being married and having a running of the family company. Their second twin was named Dazzle. Dazzle was unlike his brother. He was more outspoken and already as a colt. He loved to be playing around with his friends, just having a good time reading books with his parents, but it was just something that he wanted to do most of all. He loved to help others, no matter what happens, and he even stand up for his friends. But his true purpose in his most biggest life, most biggest dream, he wanted to be, and that was a doctor. He wanted to be a doctor so that he could help anyone, no matter creature or where they are from. So while he was growing up, he studied a lot of things but to be a doctor, or at least be a nurse or something. When he was about 25, he graduated to be a doctor and moved to Baltimore, where he studied for some time to be a doctor, which he later ended up being. And there he actually had fallen in love with a nurse. First, he had asked her out, in which she said yes, and after 4 years of being dating, they were married, and they had a daughter. But later turns out they even were expecting a second child, but they had twin boys. Dazzle were really much happy to be married but also to have been found his true purpose, to be a doctor. But he even loved his parents that much as well. And if Double Diamond didn't have went to Ponyville after being asked, he would never have found Hoity Toity or never been found his true love or have his amazing family with him. The same thing is for Hoity Toity. He had hoped to find his special son Tony someday, in which he actually did. But he didn't expect to find a stallion to fall in love with. But since Double Diamond were so much a gentle colt for him, always been gentle, always happy, and at least outspoken. That was one of the things that drew him to him. And that's how Double Diamond and Hoity Toity found true love and got a big family. The end.